How's it going, baseball fans? It has been a long offseason, but the new MLB season is just about here. Now, I know what many of you may be thinking. I've seen where a few of the big names have signed, but I don't know how my team looks now, or really how the league looks as a whole. Well, hold on, you're in luck. I spent the entire offseason tracking every signing and transaction and will provide a clear and concise full breakdown of every team to get you ready for the season quickly. I will have 6 videos, one division per video, where I go over each of the 5 teams and their off seasons in alphabetical order. Specifically, I will be covering all players departing from the major league team, all free agency signings, all trades, all extensions and re-signings, all arbitration deals, if the team drafted a Rule 5 player or not, as well as briefly covering all waiver pickups and minor league players signed. If you have any questions about any part of the video or what certain transactions may mean to a team, comment below and I'll be sure to help out. Also, I hope I pronounced everyone's names correctly. Feel free to let me know if I get a name or two wrong. Anyways, this video will cover the offseason of all teams in the NL East, starting with the Atlanta Braves. The Braves have 10 players from their MLB roster not returning this year. The most impactful of those being shortstop Dansby Swanson, catcher William Contreras, starting pitcher Jake Odorizzi, and relief pitcher Kenley Jansen. The Braves signed 2 free agents. Those 2 free agents are hitter Jordan Luplow, who signed a 1-year, $1.4 million deal, and relief pitcher Nick Anderson to a 1-year, $875,000 deal. Also with trades, Atlanta made 7 this offseason. On November 6th, they traded away pitcher Dylan Spain to the Colorado Rockies in exchange for outfielder Sam Hilliard. On November 9th, they traded away starting pitcher Jake Odorizzi and cash considerations to the Texas Rangers in return for pitcher Kobe Allard. After that, on November 15th, they traded away cash considerations to the Texas Rangers in return for relief pitcher Dennis Santana. Then, on December 7th, they traded away hitter Justin Henry Malloy and relief pitcher Jake Higginbotham to the Detroit Tigers to get relief pitcher Joe Jimenez. After this, they were involved in a 3-team trade with the Oakland Athletics and Milwaukee Brewers on December 12th, where they gave up catchers Manny Pena and William Contreras, relief pitcher Justin Yeager, and starting pitchers Kyle Muller, Freddie Tarnok, and Royber Salinas, and received catcher Sean Murphy. Then, on December 16th, they traded away a player to be named later or cash considerations to the Boston Red Sox in exchange for utility man Hoy Park. And lastly, on December 28th, they traded away relief pitcher Indigo Diaz and infielder Caleb Durbin to the New York Yankees to get relief pitcher Lucas Luque. Atlanta did not exercise any club options, but did re-sign 1 player and extend 3 players. They re-signed relief pitcher Jackson Stevens to a 1-year, $740,000 deal. And they extended catcher Sean Murphy to a 6-year, $73 million deal, which includes a 2029 club option at $15 million with no buyout option, starting pitcher Spencer Strider to a 6-year, $75 million deal, which has a 2029 club option at $22 million with a $5 million buyout option, and relief pitcher Tyler Matzik to a 2-year, $3.1 million deal that includes a 2025 club option of $5.5 million with no buyout. The Braves had 6 players eligible for arbitration and were able to agree to deals with all but 1 player to almost avoid the need of an arbiter. They agreed to deals with starting pitcher Mike Soroka and relief pitchers AJ Minter, Joe Jimenez, Lucas Luque, and Dennis Santana. The 1 player they were not able to make a deal with was starting pitcher Max Fried. At the arbitration hearing, the arbiter sided with the Braves, resulting in Fried making the team proposed amount of $13.5 million. And to wrap up, the Atlanta Braves did not draft a Rule 5 player, but did claim 1 player off waivers and signed a group of minor league free agents that you can see here. Next up, the Miami Marlins. The Marlins have 11 players from their MLB roster not returning this year. The most impactful of those being hitter Brian Anderson, infielder Miguel Rojas, starting pitcher Pablo Lopez, and relief pitcher Richard Blyer. The Marlins also signed 2 free agents. Their 2 free agents are second baseman Jean Segura, who signed a 2-year, $17 million deal, which includes a 2025 club option of $10 million with a $2 million buyout option, and starting pitcher Johnny Cueto to a 1-year, $8.5 million deal with a 2024 club option of $10.5 million with a $2.5 million buyout option. When it came to trades, Miami made 7 this offseason. On November 10th, they traded away catcher Peyton Henry to the Milwaukee Brewers in exchange for outfielder Remington Batista. Then, on November 15th, they traded away starting pitchers Marcus Johnson and Santiago Suarez in exchange for relief pitcher JT Chargois and infielder Xavier Edwards. On November 18th, they traded away pitcher Eliezer Hernandez and relief pitcher Jeff Brigham to the New York Mets in return for starting pitcher Franklin Sanchez and outfielder Jake Mangum. Following that, on January 11th, they traded away infielder Miguel Rojas to the LA Dodgers and got back infielder Jacob Amaya. Then, on January 20th, they traded away starting pitcher Pablo Lopez, infielder Jose Salas, and outfielder Byron Chorio to the Minnesota Twins in return for infielder Luis Arraez. Then, on January 30th, they traded away relief pitcher Richard Blyer to the Boston Red Sox in exchange for relief pitcher Matt Barnes and cash considerations. And lastly, on February 11th, they traded away outfielder JJ Bleday to the Oakland Athletics and got back relief pitcher AJ Puck. Miami did not agree to any extensions this offseason, exercise any club options, or re-sign any players. The Marlins had 10 players eligible for arbitration and were able to agree to deals with 8 of those 10. They agreed to deals with infielder Joey Wendell, utility man John Birdie, hitter Garrett Cooper, catcher Jacob Stallings, starting pitcher Pablo Lopez, and relief pitchers Dylan Floro, Tanner Scott, and JT Chargois. The 2 players that were not able to agree to deals were infielder Luis Arraez and starting pitcher Jesus Luzardo. For the arbitration hearings with Arraez and Luzardo, the arbiter sided with the players, resulting in those players to make their self-proposed salaries of $6.1 million and $2.45 million respectively. This was the only instance that the team lost every arbitration hearing that they had. In the Rule 5 draft, they selected 26-year-old relief pitcher Nick Enright from the Cleveland Guardians organization. And to wrap up, the Miami Marlins claimed no players off waivers, but signed a group of minor league free agents that you can see here. Batting third, it's the New York Mets. The Mets have 11 players from their MLB roster not returning this year, the most impactful of those being relief pitchers Michael Gibbons and Seth Lugo, pitcher Trevor Williams, and starting pitchers Jacob deGrom, Taijuan Walker, and Chris Bassett. The Mets signed 7 free agents. Those 7 free agents being superstar starting pitcher Justin Verlander, who signed a 2-year, roughly $86.7 million deal, which includes a 2025 vested option of $35 million if Verlander throws at least 140 innings in 2024, starting pitcher Kodai Senga to a 5-year, $75 million deal with the most complicated deal details of all. This deal includes $400,000 in performance incentives per year, a full no-trade clause from 2023 to 2025, a 10-team trade clause from 2026 to 2028, and a varying value 2028 vested option of $15 million if the player has a Tommy John surgery or an elbow surgery that leaves him on the injury list for at least 130 days. Next, the Mets signed starting pitcher Jose Quintana to a 2-year, $26 million deal that has $300K in performance incentives per year, catcher Omar Narvaez to a 2-year, $15 million deal with a 2024 player option of $7 million with no buyout, relief pitcher David Robertson to a 1-year, $10 million deal, outfielder Tommy Pham to a 1-year, $6 million deal with $2 million in performance incentives, and second baseman Danny Mendick to a 1-year, $1 million deal. As for trades, New York made 3 this offseason. On November 18th, they traded away starting pitcher Franklin Sanchez and outfielder Jake Mangum to the Miami Marlins in exchange for pitcher Eliezer Hernandez and relief pitcher Jeff Brigham. Then, on December 7th, they traded starting pitcher Keyshawn Askew to the Tampa Bay Rays to get back relief pitcher Brooks Raley. And lastly, on December 21st, they traded away catcher James McCann and cash considerations to the Baltimore Orioles to get back a player to be named later, which ended up being hitter Luis De La Cruz. New York exercised 3 club options, re-signed 3 players, and extended 2 players. They exercised club options on starting pitcher Carlos Carrasco for $14 million, on DH Daniel Vogelbach for $1.5 million, which includes $400K in performance incentives, and on relief pitcher John Curtis for $775,000. They re-signed star outfielder Brandon Nimmo to an 8-year, $162 million contract, which includes a full no-trade clause and $750,000 in performance incentives per year. Star relief pitcher Edwin Diaz to a 5-year, $102 million deal, which includes a 10-team trade clause until October 30th, 2025, $400K in performance incentives per year, a 2026 player option of $18.5 million for the next 2 years, and a 2028 club option of $17.25 million. And lastly, they re-signed relief pitcher Adam Ottavino to a 2-year, $14.5 million deal with $1 million in performance incentives and a 2024 player option of $6.75 million with no buyout. Then the 2 players New York extended were hitter Jeff McNeil to a 4-year, $50 million extension, which includes a 2027 club option of $15.75 million with a $2 million buyout option, and catcher Thomas Nido to a 1-year, $2.1 million extension, keeping him on the team through 2024. The Mets had 7 players eligible for arbitration and were able to agree to deals with all 7 players while avoiding the need of an arbiter. They agreed to deals with first baseman Pete Alonso, pitcher Eliezer Hernandez, infielder Luis Guillorme, starting pitcher Joey Lucchesi, and relief pitchers Drew Smith and Jeff Brigham. In the Rule 5 draft, they selected 26-year-old relief pitcher Zach Green from the New York Yankees organization. And to wrap up, the New York Mets claimed 4 players off waivers and signed a group of minor league free agents that you can see here. Hitting cleanup are the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies have a staggering 13 players from their MLB roster not returning this year. The most impactful of those being second baseman Jean Segura, starting pitchers Zach Eflin and Noah Syndergaard, and relief pitchers David Robertson, Brad Hand, and Corey Knebel. The Phillies signed 5 free agents. Those 5 free agents are superstar shortstop Trey Turner, who signed an 11-year, $300 million deal, which includes a full no-trade clause and $750,000 in performance incentives per year. Starting pitcher Taijuan Walker to a 4-year, $72 million deal. Relief pitcher Matthew Strahm to a 2-year, $15 million deal. Relief pitcher Craig Kimbrell to a 1-year, $10 million deal. And hitter Josh Harrison to a 1-year, $2 million deal. As for trades, Philadelphia made 3 this offseason. On January 4th, they traded away cash considerations to the Chicago Cubs in exchange for relief pitcher Eric Ullman. Then, on January 7th, they traded away utility man Nick Maton, hitter Matt Vierling, and catcher Donnie Sands to the Detroit Tigers to get back relief pitcher Gregory Soto and utility man Cody Clemens. And lastly, on January 9th, they traded away relief pitcher Eric Miller to the San Francisco Giants in return for relief pitcher Junior Marte. Philadelphia did not re-sign any players, but did exercise 1 club option and extend 2 players. They exercised a club option on starting pitcher Aaron Nola for $16 million, and they extended relief pitcher Jose Alvarado to a 3-year, $22 million deal, which includes $350,000 in performance incentives per year and a 2026 club option of $9 million with a $500,000 buyout option, and also extended relief pitcher Seranthony Dominguez to a 2-year, $7.25 million deal, which has a 2025 club option of $8 million with a $500,000 buyout option. The Phillies had 5 players eligible for arbitration and were able to agree to deals with all 5 players while avoiding the need of an arbiter. They agreed to deals with first baseman Rhys Hoskins, infielder Edmundo Sosa, starting pitcher Ranger Suarez, and relief pitchers Gregory Soto and Sam Coonrod. In the Rule 5 draft, they selected 26-year-old pitcher Noah Song from the Boston Red Sox organization. And to wrap up, the Philadelphia Phillies claimed 3 players off waivers and signed a group of minor league free agents that you can see here. Last up are the Washington Nationals. The Nationals have 9 players from their MLB roster not returning this year, the most impactful of those being first baseman Luke Voit, starting pitcher Anibal Sanchez, and hitter Cesar Hernandez. The Nationals also signed 5 free agents. Those 5 free agents being relief pitcher Trevor Williams, who signed a 2-year, $13 million deal with $575,000 in performance incentives, third baseman Jeimer Candelario to a 1-year, $5 million deal with $1 million in performance incentives, outfielder Corey Dickerson to a 1-year, $2.25 million deal with $750,000 in performance incentives, left fielder Dominic Smith to a 1-year, $2 million deal with $2 million in performance incentives, and outfielder Stone Garrett to a 1-year deal with undisclosed financial details, a deal likely around $720K. As for trades, Washington made just one this offseason. On January 10th, they traded away pitcher AJ Alexy to the Minnesota Twins in exchange for starting pitcher Christian Jimenez. Washington did not exercise any club options or re-sign any players, but did extend 2 players. They extended catcher Keibert Ruiz to an 8-year, $50 million deal, which includes a 2031 and 2032 club option of $6.25 million each year, and relief pitcher Erasmo Ramirez to a 1-year, $1 million deal with $1 million in performance incentives. The Nationals had 8 players eligible for arbitration and were able to agree to deals with all 8 players while avoiding the need of an arbiter. They agreed to deals with outfielders Victor Robles and Lane Thomas, infielder Ildemaro Vargas, and relief pitchers Kyle Finnegan, Carl Edwards Jr., Tanner Rainey, Victor Arano, and Hunter Harvey. In the Rule 5 draft, they selected 26-year-old starting pitcher Thaddeus Ward from the Boston Red Sox organization. And to wrap up, the Washington Nationals claimed 2 players off waivers and signed a group of minor league free agents that you can see here. If you made it to the end, thanks for watching, and I hope you find the information useful. If you're looking to find out more about the other 5 divisions and their off seasons as well, check the description down below for links to the other videos. Also, if you want to see more baseball content, hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see you around this season.